Hello my beautiful friends, it is that time of the week where we talk about all of the new makeup releases here in Pay or Stay Away. And as per usual, we have a very long list of new makeup releases, so let's go ahead and jump right on in. Now we have a surprising amount of things to talk about this week. I feel like we haven't had releases in such a long time, but this week I have a buttload of things to talk about. So let's kick this list off here today with the new Ace Beauty Flair palette. This puppy will be available on December 10th at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and she retails for $38.99 for 15 shades. Now I just saw this like 5 minutes ago on Trend Mood, and I was intrigued, I have to say. I think it's really beautiful, and I think these colors really represent like fall time and winter time and just cold weather in general. And here in the States, it is transitioning over from fall to winter. It is getting extremely cold, and looking at this palette, this reminds me of cold weather without actually having a bunch of blues. We definitely have some pretty blues in here, but we have a nice mix of colors. There's oranges, there's yellows, there's greens, there's blues, there's purples. I think this is a pretty interesting palette, and I like that the shades are colorful, but they're not super bright. They're more so on the dusty side. Like we have a dusty lavender, we have that beautiful kind of dusty blue, we have a dusty purple, then we have that gorgeous like moss colored dusty green. I think this is really beautiful, and honestly I kind of want to pick it up just because I like the color scheme and I think that it's pretty unique to my collection. Do I necessarily need it? Probably not, but I think it's really pretty, and I think the $38.99 price tag isn't bad by any means. But I'm kind of on the fence because I'm not overly crazy about the Ace Beauty formula. I think it's decent, but I don't think that it's worth the $40. I think that it's more so worth like 30 bucks or maybe even 25. I don't think it's bad, but I do have the Ace Beauty Blossom Passion palette, and all of the bright shades in that palette were absolutely phenomenal, but the deeper tones that are in that palette did not blend well for me, and they just didn't really work out that great. So it was kind of like 50-50 for me on how I felt about that guy. And in this palette, we have like a 50-50 match here with bright kind of lighter shades and deeper dusty tones. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna get this palette because I don't want to end up not using half of it. I'm trying to be really good, and I'm trying to only buy things that I know I'm gonna use 100% because I want to get my money's worth. Because I haven't even started Christmas shopping. Don't tell my family and friends, but I haven't even started yet, so I need to save my money to do that and not be selfish here and buy myself things, even though I probably will, but I need to at least try. Being a responsible adult can be so hard sometimes. So next up on the Pay or Stay Away list is by a brand that I've never purchased from before and never really heard about, and that is Glamlite. They are releasing a pretty interesting palette here that I feel like a lot of people are gonna hate, but then there's gonna be some people like me who find this cute and weird and interesting. And this is the pizza palette. Yeah, you heard me right, like pizza, like going down to your Costco and getting a slice of pizza palette. I think this is so freaking cute, and I like the concept of it. And this guy will be available on December 12th, and we don't have a price point yet, but I'm gonna assume that it'll maybe be like 30 to 40 bucks. I'm just going off Ace Beauty prices here, which is probably totally incorrect. I saw a lot of people saying that they were not interested in this palette on Trend Mood's post. So many people were like, this is tacky, this sucks. And yeah, it's a little bit tacky, okay? And it's a little bit weird, you know, we don't necessarily correlate pizza with makeup, but I, for one, freaking adore pizza. I could eat it every single day if I could. I mean, I try to be good and I try to not eat bad things, but that all changes on Sunday, which is my cheat day. I usually just go ham on eating food, and more than likely, I usually end up with pizza, and it's one of my absolute favorite foods, and I would eat it every day if I could. So when I first saw this palette, I freaking loved it, but I can understand why some people think it's tacky just because, you know, it's not super elegant and classy and whatever, but I'm not necessarily classy or elegant either. I mean, good lord, I'm wearing cheetah print, but I think this is really, really cute. Now, the actual colors inside I think are really pretty. I personally don't want anything like this right now. I don't find myself really needing any of these colors, but I like that you get a nice range of shades. You get basically every shade under the rainbow here, and all of the shades are pretty muted, so someone who isn't really into color but wants to experiment a little bit might actually like this palette. And my favorite part about this palette, other than the fact that it's a pizza palette, is that all of the names of the shades are pizza toppings. So there's a shade called Red Onion, there's a shade called Pineapple. Why would you name a shade pineapple? Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. Everyone knows this. There goes a dislike on my video, but I don't like pineapple on pizza, okay? I know the world is divided into two sides here, and I'm on the side that doesn't think pineapple belongs anywhere near a pizza. Then there's shades like mushroom and extra cheese and hot sauce and marinara. It's so cute. I mean, come on, it is tacky, but you have to admit this is at least creative, and it's at least something that's innovative and interesting. So I like this. I wouldn't really be opposed to seeing more stuff that's kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit. This is honestly kind of pushing the boundaries between too tacky, and you probably shouldn't go there with a makeup item, but it isn't quite there yet. It's still pushing the boundaries between tacky and really interesting and cool. So I like that. I appreciate it. I think it's interesting, and if I didn't have these colors, I would totally purchase it because, come on, it's a pizza palette. But right now, I just don't need it. But nonetheless, I still like the idea, and it still makes me hungry for pizza. All right, we're plugging along here. So the next makeup release that I wanted to talk about is from Jeffree Star. This is his holiday 2018 collection, and he's coming out with a bunch of different makeup bags. He's coming out with fanny packs. He's coming out with a lipstick set, but I just wanted to touch on one thing here because it was the only thing that really interested me, although the fanny packs are pretty cute. But I have kind of like a personal vendetta against fanny packs because when I was in, I think, 4th or 5th grade, I used to play with these little Hamtaro figurines, and I would keep them in my fanny pack in elementary school. I would take them out and play with them on my desk because I was weird, and I'm an only child, so I'm a pretty weird person. But people would make fun of me and call me weird and call me a loser for doing so, so I have a personal vendetta against fanny packs for that reason specifically. Even though that was probably my fault and not the fanny pack's fault, I still don't like them. I still refuse to wear them in fear that I'm gonna get made fun of and people are gonna call me a loser nerd again. But anyway, back to makeup after that lovely story. Trip down memory lane. Why was I so weird as a child? But I wanted to talk about the Supreme Frost Pro palette, and this is available now and it retails for $54 of your dollars. So I think this is beautiful. This is obviously a highlighter palette, and Jeffree basically modeled this palette after the Northern Lights in Alaska, and I think that is really interesting. I think that's a really interesting concept. Dude, you should do an eyeshadow palette with that concept. That would be absolutely stunning. I don't know how no one's done that so far because there are so many beautiful shades to choose from if you're going after that theme. I think someone should probably hop on and do that, but nonetheless, I think this highlighter palette is beautiful, and this is the Supreme Frost formula, which is a little bit more on the glittery side, although you can't really see the glitter that much unless you get really close to the skin. The Supreme Frost formula basically gives you a really wet effect to the cheeks, but you do get a little bit of glitter in the application. You can kind of see that on the cheeks, but not super crazy unless you're out in the sunlight, but it gives you a really shiny, really interesting look to the cheeks. Now, I personally own one of his Supreme Frosts, and I like it. I think it's pretty decent. I have a review on it. I'll link it, of course. But I really like this palette. I just don't really want to spend $54 on a highlighter palette right now, especially considering that my highlighter collection is freaking giant for one person, and Lord knows I don't need any more highlighters unless it's something that is really calling to me and something that I just cannot live without. Then I would probably purchase it, but for right now, I'm kind of taking a hiatus from buying highlighters. I want to use up what I have in my collection, but that isn't to be said that I don't think this is gorgeous. I absolutely love the shade Alaskan Ice. I wish that came in a single. It's like a light iridescent gold that has a blue teal shift to it. I want this puppy so bad. If he came out with a single in this, I would buy it like hands down. I would buy that in an instant, but I don't want to purchase more highlighters and have more product just sitting around in my collection and spend an extra 20 bucks if I don't have to. So I personally commented on his Instagram and said, please release this in a single. I want Alaskan Ice, and a bunch of people were commenting in and saying that they wanted it too. So here's hoping that he releases that in a single and that he sees at least one of our messages out of the, I don't know, 7 people who were saying they wanted it too. Here's hoping that he actually pays attention to that and releases it, because I would buy that in a hot second. So moving right along, Lancome is going to be releasing their Spring 2018 collection. We don't have any prices for this collection. We don't even have a release date, but this is going to be released sometime in either January or February, so not too far away. This collection will consist of the Rose Polishing Marble Balm, which is like a marbled lipstick and a lip balm, if you will. It looks like the lipstick itself has some color kind of marbled in with some chapstick-like material, if you will. They are also going to be releasing the Spring 2018 palette. Now, I'm sure that this palette has a name, but I currently don't know it, so I'm going to call it the Spring 2018 palette. That's going to be her identity for today. They're also releasing some BB creams and some other complexion products, but I only really care about that eyeshadow palette. I personally think that this palette is freaking gorgeous. I love that it has these soft pastel peachy pinks and berries. This palette is so me and it's screaming my name, and I absolutely love the look of those beautiful foiled glittery shades. This is something that I might end up purchasing. Now, I have heard that Lancome's eyeshadow palettes are not that great. I heard they are not the bee's knees and that they are just kind of chalky and powdery, especially with their bright colored one. They came out with the macaroon palette last year, and I heard that it wasn't that great, even though the colors were beautiful shades of pastel. I heard the quality just wasn't up to par, and you know, we're paying Lancome prices here, so we're paying like 50 or 60 bucks for this palette. So I'm really hoping that this guy is good quality and that they're gonna step up the game, and that they took people's suggestions on stepping up the formula. You know, people are spending their hard-earned dollars on this, and they're expecting Lancome quality, so I really hope that Lancome actually brings Lancome quality to this year's collection. And if they do, then that palette shall be mine. So the last release that I wanted to talk about for this week is the Juvia's Place Tribe collection. All of these items are available now on the Juvia's Place website as well as Ulta. Juvia's Place went into Ulta, and I think that is freaking awesome. They definitely deserve it, so 2 claps to Juvia's Place. But this collection consists of 3 different highlighters, which are $15 each. There's a light shade, a medium shade, and a dark shade. So good on Juvia's Place for releasing more than 1 shade of highlighter. I know that something about their brand is that they really try to cater to a lot of skin tones, and they've done pretty well with these highlighter shades. And they are also coming out with a new eyeshadow palette, which is the Tribe palette, which will be retailing for $20. They're coming out with 2 different brushes for $7 each, which is going to be a highlighter brush and a blending brush. And finally, you can pick up the entire highlighter bundle for $43. So I saw this eyeshadow palette and I kind of felt the same way about it as I felt about the Ace Beauty palette that we talked about earlier. I think it's beautiful. I think it really represents fall and kind of like wintry, cold weather. I think it's really pretty. I don't necessarily need something like this in my collection, but I do think it's really beautiful, and I really like the color selection. I like that there's like a navy blue mixed in with a matte green, and then a matte kind of burnt orange, and then a pale yellow. I think the color scheme is really pretty, and it reminds me of pumpkins and fall weather, and I think it's gorgeous, but I just don't need this in my collection because I don't really reach for these types of shades that often. So I can understand the merit of this, and I can understand that it's beautiful, but I personally just don't need it. The highlighters are pretty as well, but as I stated, I am taking a hiatus from buying highlighters, so those babies I will be staying away from. Now, the brushes, on the other hand, have me intrigued. I think that highlighter brush looks freaking phenomenal. I don't have any highlighter brushes that are that shaped. And all of my actual, like, real highlighter brushes, I don't even use for highlighter. I usually use them for, like, blush or something, because I have very strange cheekbones, and the placement of my highlight that I personally like to do, I can't really achieve that effect with a normal highlighter brush because they're always too big or too fluffy. I want something that's super dense and tapered and kind of rounded at the top. This way I can really target and pinpoint where I want the highlighter on my cheeks. I don't want it going all over, and oftentimes I find my highlighter just going everywhere if I use an actual highlighter brush. Now, this one looks really interesting to me because the bristles themselves are rounded at the top, and they look like they just go into kind of like a little rounded point almost. And this highlighter brush looks really dense as well, so I feel like this would be something that wouldn't distribute product all over your face. I feel like this would just target where you want the highlighter and basically just place it down where you pop it on your cheek. So I don't know, I'm pretty interested in that brush, especially if it's only $7. That is totally up my alley, so I might have to end up picking that guy up. I think I'm gonna have to see it in Ulta to make sure that it's not like one of the highlighter brushes I already have, but I think that this might be something that would be good for me. But that is everything that I had on the pay or stay away list for this week. I'm really happy because I don't really think I'm going to be purchasing anything at this point. Now, if Jeffree Star comes out with Alaskan Ice in a single, I'll be purchasing that, and maybe I'll end up getting that Juvia's Place brush if I see it in person and I think it's beautiful and I think it'll work for me, then maybe, just maybe. But as of right now, I'm not purchasing anything, so my bank account is like, thank the freaking Lord, girl, stop buying stuff, buy other people things. So that is exactly what I am gonna do. But please do let me know down in the comments, what are you gonna be purchasing out of all the new makeup releases for this week? Is there anything in particular that you're gonna be purchasing, or something that you want to purchase, or are you like me and didn't really see that much stuff that you actually like? But with that being said, I do hope that you consider subscribing if you have not already. I do pay or stay awake every single Monday, and during the rest of the week week. I got all sorts of makeup goodness happening here on this channel, so I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe down below. I do also hope that you consider giving this video a big old thumbs up and turning on the notification bell if you enjoyed it and you would like to see more. But I hope you are having an absolutely amazing and beautiful day wherever you are, and thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you next time. Bye!